Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it's that you are and wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, a creative content writer here in Chesterfield. I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, I have done a lot of different podcasts in my day. I've covered a lot of different topics, been in a lot of different places. I have never done one like we're about to do here, which I'm actually extremely excited about. This summer, we have been fortunate enough in Constituent Media Services to have a pair of interns working with us, and part of their their workload this summer included this exact endeavor here, which is to record a podcast where they're going to interview each other. So I'm very glad to welcome Emily Waters and Kate Stanko to the podcast. Folks, how we doing?
Good.
Are we nervous? How we feeling?
I'm excited.
They have worked hard to put this together, so I'm really excited to roll this out and have folks hear it. The idea here for those of you who have not heard interns on a podcast interviewing each other is essentially for the interns to prepare for a podcast like a host would, and also be the person who is being interviewed, so they get the experience on both sides of the fence, so to speak. So without that, Emily, take it away.
All right. Kate, so just to start off a little, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a rising senior at Virginia Tech, double majoring in communication and professional technical writing. I am the current general manager at WUVT, which is Virginia Tech's student-run radio station.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be my 4th year as a WUVT DJ. The station and its community just mean the world to me, so that's my own little home there at Virginia Tech. I've lived in Chesterfield my whole life. I went to James River High School for leadership, and I was also a year-round swimmer. I love cats, music, being with my parents and 2 sisters. I love to bird, and I also love playing the bass.
That's really cool. How long have you been playing the bass for?
I've been playing for 4 years. I'm self-taught. I also played in a band in Blacksburg for 2 years, which was really fun. I managed our social media, designed our merchandise, I booked shows. We played at a lot of different houses and fraternities and even venues, so that was a really fun experience.
Wow. Was that so freshman year, sophomore year? When did you do that?
So it was right at the beginning of freshman year, just came in hot with a band.
That's awesome. How did that start?
I actually started with a friend that I've known since elementary school, and I swam on a swim team with him. He's a year older than me. His name's Eric. And we just met up, and he's like, I play the guitar and you play the bass. We should start something. And I was like, okay.
That's so cool. Do you come from a musical family?
Yeah, so my dad, he sings. He also plays guitar, bass, drums,
Oh,
kind
wow.
of everything.
Wow.
Definitely musical
he just
family.
picks it up. And my mom does piano and chorus. So they're both my superstars, really inspire me. And they got me my first bass for my 17th birthday. So definitely my biggest supporters.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I can say that I'm definitely not musical at all, and neither is my family. So.
Maybe you will be.
Hey, you never know. So being a DJ, this kind of thing, like recording a podcast right now, are you kind of used to this, like talking to a microphone?
I was thinking the same thing. It's like you should be more comfortable than most everybody who comes in here.
Seriously.
Well, it's a little bit different because when I'm DJing, it's just me in the studio and I'm playing music that I like. So it's very much like my own little happy place. Not saying that this isn't my happy place, but it's definitely a little bit different of a vibe. But I do the headphone thing where you have to hear yourself,
Right.
Make sure the levels are good.
Right.
So this is your 2nd year in Chesterfield as an intern. So how did you end up back here? And what's been your experience? Kind of what's been different between the 2 years?
Every second of it. Emily.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's true. There's your answer. But I first applied for this internship the spring of 2022, or 2023.
2023, yeah.
Sorry.
You've been here a while, but not quite that long.
And I was applying to a bunch of different internships because, it's this whole thing, college, you got to start with that experience and make a name for yourself. So my mom actually sent me the job listing for Chesterfield. And I was super interested in it because I've always loved community service. I did a lot of community service in high school, and I was also a Girl Scout. So I think that translates really well to government and public service. And once I got the interview, I really loved Teresa and Jana, which are our supervisors, and I was super hopeful for receiving the job. Thankfully, I did get the job, and I worked on the 4th floor in communications and media last year, writing blog posts, news releases, media advisories, just like you, Emily, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I heard the 2024 summer job listing was up through Brad, our podcast host, and I applied and interviewed again, but this time I work on the 5th floor in Constituent services. So I do a lot of talking points for the Board of Supervisors as well as their remarks. And I do some internal documentation like HOA information as well.
That's awesome. What have been the most memorable projects you've worked on this summer, last summer?
Yeah, so last summer it was probably my first blog post was Chesterfield flipping the switch on solar energy use. That was super fun, and I felt like a real-life news reporter because I went to the conference or the event that morning, and I transcribed my notes. I had a little voice recording, and then I came back to the office and whipped out a blog post. And
that's awesome.
Super quick turnaround, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And then this summer?
Yeah, this summer I've done a couple more news releases, which I really enjoy, as well as a blog post on mental health winning a NACO award for their Mental Health is Ageist campaign, which Brad actually had a huge hand in helping out with, as well as Neese, our videographer right now. And I'm also working on making some football schedule graphics for each Chesterfield high school and their upcoming school year football games.
Okay, awesome.
Which is super helpful for the record for those of you out there who are also looking forward to a podcast about that. On the YouTube version, Kate's hard work will definitely be on full display. So I'm really appreciative that she was able to do that for us.
Thank you.
Exciting. So to kind of head back, how'd you end up at Virginia Tech?
So I had really big dreams of wanting to go out of state and, really wanting to get out of Chesterfield just for the fun of it. But we all know how that ends up. It's very expensive and time consuming. So I decided to be closer to home with Virginia Tech, which I'm very grateful for. And they have a wonderful communication program. Plus the mountains are beautiful as well as the campus.
That's awesome.
The fact that I have 2 Hokies on this podcast right now is just really unsettling.
He does not like it.
In a variety of it's not great, guys. It's not great.
I'm curious, was communication always the goal for you growing up?
It was sort of. I always knew that I liked words and pictures, not so much science and math, not my strong suit there. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but a lot of my high school teachers, like my public speaking teacher, Mrs. Spratley, really inspired me, along with others, and they kind of gave me the confidence I needed to go into communication. And I also just declared my double major in professional technical writing my junior year, which is a super fun new interest for me. And I'll actually be receiving my Bachelor of Arts in English instead of communication. So that's a super fun journey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, adding that PTW, it makes it a lot more specific when it comes to your studies, which I'm sure is very beneficial, especially coming back to a communications internship like this. So aside from work, aside from professionally, we've talked a lot about communication, schooling, what you're studying. Where do you see yourself in 10 years personally?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
She said 10, not 5.
I know, that's a deep one.
That's deep.
Well, I'll be 30, which is crazy to think about. But hopefully residing in Richmond, close to my parents and my younger sisters. My youngest sister is 9 right now, so I guess she'll be 19 and off to college then.
That's scary.
But try to help them out, if she's around here. I still want to be playing bass. It would be pretty cool to join a band, something like that. And I've thought about joining a U.S. Masters swim team, like getting back into that.
Okay.
Hopefully a couple more cats. I have I have one cat right now, Poppy, and she's awesome, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And lastly, just making a difference in the world and serving others as best as I can.
That's awesome. All right, so to close things off on a lighter note, what would you say your favorite restaurant in Blacksburg is?
There's this place called Cafe McCong, which is over by the Cookout, and they have the best garlic fried rice ever. I could eat that like every day. But if you're looking for something close to campus, Jimmy John's is always there on College Avenue, which I work and manage at. So yes, I can make your sandwich in less than 30 seconds. But
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I definitely have been to that Jimmy John's a time or two.
Oh yeah, open late, 3 a.m.
All right, Kate. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, Emily, now on to you. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm also a Virginia Tech student. I'm a rising junior pursuing dual degrees in political science and public relations. I grew up playing volleyball over at Richmond Volleyball Club, not too far from here. Kind of serves the entire metro Richmond area. So played with a lot of people from Chesterfield, Hanover, Midlothian, everywhere. I grew up in Glen Allen, so Chesterfield a little far from me, but always, visiting here. I always grew up going to Pocahontas State Park with my dad, so it was never too far off my mind. At Virginia Tech, I'm in Pi Beta Phi, and I plan all of the events we have within the sorority. So any kind of cooking events or craft events or any kind of thing where we're just having a good time together. There's study breaks or also study hours. I plan all of those. And I'm also over all of our academics. So I keep pretty busy with that at school. Yeah.
Well, if you ever need a musician for any of your events,
I'm definitely going to take you up on that. Definitely going to take you up on that.
And I just wanted to note, dual degrees in political science and PR. Very impressive to me. Have you thought about going into law at all?
So I definitely thought about it. It was one of those things where, so I didn't add public relations until last year, because when I first went to college, I was like, oh, I'm going to study political science and then go to law school. But then I got through a semester of that, and I was like, I'm not going to go to law school. I just
too much.
Yeah, I just decided that 4 more years was not for me.
Right.
And I actually really want to work in local government. So.
Oh, yeah.
Which still blows all of our minds. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, we love it here. And you mentioned that you grew up in Glen Allen. What about, do you have any other family members from around the area or in Chesterfield?
Yes. So my aunt and uncle and cousin live 2 minutes down the road from me, very close with them. And my dad's parents also live in Richmond. They live over in the Tuckahoe area. So I'm really close to my family. Spend a lot of time with them. Nobody's too far. Everyone's in the state. But my mom's side of the family, they're all from Martinsville, Virginia.
Okay.
So make it down there every now and then.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's so sweet that you guys are all together like that.
Yes, definitely. Makes it easier, especially during the holidays.
For sure.
I'm sure. Okay, and going off the Virginia Tech theme here, what would you say your favorite Virginia Tech campus spot is?
So I'm definitely a fan of Turner's, the dining hall, because I am big into people watching, especially if I'm having a stressful day, coming back from class. And first of all, the food is really good. So you can get good food. And there's a couple specific tables that you can sit at, and you can just see so many people walking by, and there's so much good people watching in those locations. The table when you first walk in between the Brugers and the staircase is perfect. There's 2 high tops, and I always try to get one of those. Yes, and they're always empty because no one wants to sit there. But
except you.
Exactly.
Because it seems awkward, but it's perfect for
it's
Emily's
really nice.
People watching.
Exactly. Exactly. You put your laptop up, AirPods in, no one's going to come talk to you, but you can see them.
Right.
It's right by an elevator too, just totally undesirable. All right, and I know that you are a super creative person because you're in communications. So what would you say your favorite creative medium is? So
I would definitely say writing. I really liked what you said earlier about, not being into math and science, but pictures and words always spoke to you. And I would definitely say words have always spoken to me. I feel like I'm creative in a way with that, but not very artistic or musical or anything like that. But I feel like writing is definitely where my strong suit's always been. And it's always been pretty therapeutic for me, too. Some things that I can't necessarily get out verbally or in any other way, I've always been able to write down.
Yeah.
So
I totally understand that. And you mentioned playing volleyball. So in addition to volleyball and cool communication stuff, what are some of your other hobbies?
So obviously I don't really play volleyball anymore. I mean, sometimes, but not like I used to. But I still coach or help out my friends' sisters, little sisters, stuff like that. Just try to stay involved with the volleyball community as much as I can. And like you said, hopefully when I get a little older, kind of maybe go back to playing in adult leagues or something. Just it's a good way to stay active. But I really like to cook. I don't get the chance to do it as much when I'm not home for the summer just because it's so hard to do it at school.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're not living in an apartment. There's not really anywhere to cook except the microwave. But I do really like to cook, and I actually was on Chopped Junior when I was 10.
Are you serious?
Which was really cool, yeah. And I was a judge on Beat Bobby Flay, the following year.
I need to look this up.
Yeah, so that was all pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay, and this is a big one. But
all right.
Do you have a particular role model in your life?
Role model. I would say the first thing that probably comes to mind for me there would be my dad. He just retired from Henrico Police, and he was a police officer for 35, 36 years.
Wow.
Which obviously, like, that in itself is a big deal. But he just loved his job so much, and, you know, still looks back on it with good memories. And just, I feel like it really taught me how important it is and how much of a difference it can make in your happiness and the work you do if you're happy with what you're doing.
Right.
Because you see people that hate their job, don't want to go into work, and then not only are they unhappy, but the work they're doing is probably not as good as it could be if they were doing something they were actually passionate about.
Right.
So,
well, that's really beautiful to hear about your father, and congratulations to him on his retirement.
Yes.
And his long service. Now, my next question kind of goes back to your dad, but why Chesterfield and local government?
Yeah, so definitely just like I was saying about my dad, the thing about local government for me is I'm going to feel like I'm actually making a difference on the daily, like with people. Because, you know, I've always wanted to do something in government, but when you do political science, when you do stuff like that, the emphasis is always on federal or state or, you know, going to work in the White House. And obviously all of that is so admirable. But I really want something where it's very community facing and where I'm really interacting with the community on a daily basis.
Right.
So that's what I really want to get out of local government, is just that tangibility of the work I'm doing. Just like this podcast, you know, you're talking directly to the people that are your neighbors at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And another thing I've always said, you know, even before I knew really what I wanted to do, that I just wanted to do something different every day. I don't want any day to look the same. And I definitely feel like even just in this internship, like a local government job, especially a communications job like this, you're not working on the same thing ever, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I love that part of communications too, just always changing, never a dull moment.
Exactly.
So what are you working on right now in your internship?
So I've had a pretty busy week. To start off the summer, I did the Senior Volunteer Hall of Fame blog write-up, so I got to speak to each of the 3 ladies that won those awards or were inducted into that Hall of Fame, and then do write-ups on them. And that was so cool because just getting to hear their stories and like what motivates them to be so heavily involved with volunteering in the community was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, those NACO spotlights, I've been working on some of those too, which is also so cool because I've gotten to talk to people in so many different departments. So that's kind of giving me a taste for like all kinds of things that people are doing. And I just spoke with CER and someone over with the sheriff's office, and all that stuff has been really cool. And then some news releases, as you said, all the same stuff you did last year. News releases, remarks for Dr. Casey, and some more various blog write-ups, and some of the scripts for some of the other content we put out in the communications office. So lots of really fun stuff.
Yeah, that all sounds great and sounds like they're keeping you busy and entertained, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So lastly, what expectations did you have going into this internship, and how have those shifted?
So I feel like going into the internship, just after hearing about, you know, some friends, relatives' experiences with internships, it's always like, oh, you just get coffee for people. You don't really do anything. You just sit there.
Like in the movies.
Exactly. Yeah, that too. Yeah, like the movies, TV shows, all of that. Like you never really feel like interns are doing real work. So I was just expecting that because that's just what I thought, you know, it was supposed to be like. But I've gotten to actually do so much work, and then I send it over, and then obviously like people are editing it, but then it actually goes to real people. It's not like I'm doing like fake work or like busy work or practice. Like I'm actually putting out the real products, which is really cool. And I even got to film an episode of This Week in Chesterfield, and even just those blog entries and stuff like that. What we're doing right now, like it's also real world, which is really fun.
And your This Week in Chesterfield was fantastic.
Oh,
I watched
you.
it this morning, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right, those are all my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Right.
much, Emily.
Awesome.
I feel like such a proud parent right now,
Aw.
watching you guys do that and hearing about all the different experiences that you've had. This is when I had the idea of like, oh, we could have, you know, we got 2 interns there this year. They could interview each other. I had in my wildest dreams could not envision it being as fun as that was.
Oh,
so I very
that's
much
nice.
Appreciate you guys really leaning into it and taking it seriously and really doing such a great job with it. Especially, Kate obviously has the background in radio, so this is a little bit more maybe in her comfort zone. But I can also understand that, like, interviewing somebody while somebody else is recording it is just a very different sort of thing to do. So I very much appreciate all of your hard work, both of you. Like I said, I feel like a proud parent right now. And I'm just really proud of both of you and really thankful that you chose Chesterfield. And, I don't know, Kate, if you can come back next year. I don't, how that all works, but at some point, I just love the contributions you guys have made in your time here have been phenomenal. And I just want to thank you on behalf of not only Constituent Media Services, but all of the entire organization for all of your hard work. For Kate, the past 2 years, Emily this summer. Really appreciate everything you guys did. And great job on the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that you get your shows. And if you're so inclined to give us a rating or review, we greatly appreciate it. As always, the video version of our show is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website at Chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's also where you can submit feedback anytime, make suggestions, or just reach out to us. You can watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, check out Chesterfield.gov/connect with us to find out a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent and Media Services for all they do. And my thanks to you for joining us today. So from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts, newsletters to alerts, social media, the latest community news, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.